My name is Monica Trombley. I specialize in entertainment law. I'm actually New York City based, and I've been practicing for over 13 years now, licensed in New York and Connecticut. Well, they say there are two types of people who become lawyers. The first type are the people who are fascinated by the nuances of the law, and they find the legal language interesting and so forth. And then there's the second group of people who get into law because they want to advocate for people's rights and basically help them navigate the legalese. I'm definitely the type of person who went into law for the second reason, helping people navigate the legalese and kind of fighting against injustice and nonsense. I personally experienced a lot of stuff myself. I'm actually a first-generation college student as well as a first-generation law school graduate and lawyer. So I went through a lot of personal experiences, even fought age discrimination to get my first retail job at 15 years old. And as I was doing things like this for myself and even did something like this for someone else, people were like, wow, you were a lawyer before you ever even went to law school. That probably was what my big motivation was persuading people, I guess, against arbitrary nonsense and sort of fighting against authoritarian craziness. I don't know if I would call myself exactly a rebel or a provocateur at that age, but I definitely was the type of person of, no, don't just enforce some kind of asinine, crazy rule on me and don't explain without explaining what the purpose is. I think one of my great strengths is definitely developing client trust, because I'm also a creative professional myself as an actress, singer, writer, model, blogger, and podcast host. So I personally know firsthand, while being a lawyer, what it's like to walk down a fashion runway, take an acting class, do a podcast. I've sort of lived those experiences actually both before law school, during law school, and now as an attorney. I still have done these things in New York since I'm sort of a creative at heart. And in fact, a lot of people would call me a creative's lawyer. Since I also don't come from a lawyer family, I don't tend to speak in legalese, so I'm very good at translating that and kind of breaking it down into plain English and explaining to clients, why does this affect me and why should I care? I would say one of my strengths as an attorney is I do not take any BS, and I'm not the type of person who is easily bullied or stands down easily, because I went through bullying my entire life. Only as a natural redhead and somebody who did not come from money, I sort of fought to get her way in life and kind of fought to get where she is. I definitely am not what we would call weak, and I'm definitely not the person that is going to just kind of fold over and be a coward if there's a principle at work, in my opinion. I'm definitely a fierce fighter. I would say one thing I'd like my prospective clients to know is I definitely don't fall into the stereotypical asshole attorney stereotype. I despise that whole thing. I'm not one of those people, and I definitely don't think I'm God because of having 2 law licenses. And I can't even stand people like that. So there's certainly no way I'm treating someone else that way.